It's just an honor as I'm driving here. My driver, Victoria Getz, the female Victor Getz, although, see, out in Chautauqua, they don't know who Victor Getz is.
Yes, we do.
Oh. Your county is now like Erie County, I hope. In any event, my girlfriend Deb Caldwell, who joined me down here, and as we're driving into Jamestown, typical Greg Peterson. I call him as it's a driving downpour in Buffalo this morning. They've knocked out 26,000 houses of power. And I said, you know, and I would have come up here anyways, you know, had lunch or whatever. And I said, Greg, is the ball game on? Is the luncheon still on? Oh, Mike, I'm looking out. Clear skies. It's beautiful.
Who did I learn this from?
Now, I could believe that because I watched Channel 2 and the Redcoats, and Kevin O'Connell has his new weather system that he could zoom in and tell you where the rain is in the actual streets. So I know that all this is like pockets, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I don't bring a jacket. Luckily, I had my umbrella in the trunk. But it's, as Greg says, typical Greg. He embarrassed me one time to no end.
Typical Greg.
I asked Russ, we started here in 1994. Greg, you're the historian. Russell,
94.
did we bring Rich Baseball Operation here in 94? All right, we had to create, we had the name, every game is an event. What do you call it? What are illegal people that no one can use it or else we can sue them for their firstborn? Trademark. So we brought because we own every game in an event in Buffalo, we brought it here because the Riches own this franchise. So we're trying to create, what are we going to do some nights? So we said, well, these afternoon games, how about a senior citizen day? Great. Russell said, you know, well, here, we have the senior center here in Jamestown, and we made arrangements to go, and unfortunately, Russ couldn't go, and he told Greg, take Mike to the senior event. No big deal. Is there any way I could get a Pepsi or a Coke from there? Thank you. So we show up at the senior center with Greg, and he knows everyone in town, represented everyone probably in there. So he brings me to this elderly gentleman's room. He's in bed, and he introduces me. I then woke the guy up after the introduction and start talking about Jamestown baseball. Thank you. And he really goes back. I mean, it was really a great talk because he went way back. He's talking about some of the players. Talked about I got more than, you know, just talking to him about baseball. I got a great history. Well, it's going on so much, and when I see food, I like to eat. So next to the guy's bed is a dish of peanuts. You know, so I'm Italian, and, you know, when we see food, we just grab it. So Greg is watching me, and he sees me sort of looking at that bowl of peanuts, and he knows I'm going for it. And he does like one of these, like, Mike, this is Jamestown, don't be so rude. Well, the guy in bed is seeing this sort of reaction. He says, Greg, don't worry about a thing. Ever since they took my teeth out, all I could do is suck the candy off it anyways. Drum roll, please. As I'm walking Debbie up here, all I could think of as we're driving here was a day in 1994. It was 94, wasn't it? 94. It was the winter of 94. And how many of you heard about or know Niagara Falls, New York? Wow, one person. Okay. How many of you, and we're all industrial in the ECIDA or the CEIDA or in community development. I'm sure you've heard how corrupt Niagara Falls is. In fact, if he doesn't go to jail, I'm going up there and I'm getting one of these. He had Smokin' Joe, one of the Native Americans who owns half of Niagara Falls and pays no taxes, give this mayor, soon after he was elected, a $40,000 loan with no date, number one, no interest, and no date on when you pay it back. But it says you got to pay it back. So I mean, I'd love to get one of those loans. Years ago in '93, they had a mayor called Jake Palillo. Now, after we bought the Bisons, Riches bought the Save Baseball in Buffalo in 1983. And Bob Rich Jr., has everyone, a lot of you met him?
Sure.
Okay. Great guy, great family. They've been in business since the early 30s, and his father is legendary. He's in a Hall of Fame with Clarence Birdseye and one of the other legendary, and not Sarah Lee, but whatever, it'll come to me. For creating, from the soybean, Rich's Whip topping. Now they're a $1.4 billion company, and they're in about 87 countries worldwide. So we buy the team in 1983, and we have a meeting. And Bob sets 3 goals, very simple. To get from AA, right here you have short season A, from here it's full season A, and then AA, AAA, and Major League. Your wife here? Hi, Miss Dudgeon, how are you? I hate to even ask you how old the children are.
I'll show you later.
Great seeing you, Julie. And so many others here who are on our advisory board and booster club and everything else. So the 3 goals was get us out of AA to AAA as soon as possible, get us from War Memorial Stadium and get behind Mayor Jimmy Griffin and get a downtown stadium built, and then get Major League Baseball to Buffalo. We accomplished 2 of those goals, and the third one, Major League Baseball, the one newspaper town, the Buffalo News, took a comment, or took what was in our prospectus for partnerships. We knew that the entrance fee was going to be, do you remember, like $90 million bucks, I think it was. Yeah, it was $90 million. So we had Phillips, or a top 6 accounting firm.
Philip Slattery, you can roll that out if you want. I mean,
Philip Slido version of accounting. We had them for a $1 million exclusive expansion franchise thing. So they came in and crunched all the numbers. They also put together our prospectus of minority owners. And it was like typical accounting. To get your money's worth, it's about that many pages, and I don't know who reads all that. But in any event, we sent it off to Warren Buffett. In that, we're looking for 9 ownership, either nine minority owners or 9 ownership groups, totaling $10 million each. We figured Warren, since he owns the Buffalo News, second richest guy in the world, a stock that's worth 40,000 bucks each, would probably buy one of those shares. He, what is it, 84 now? What's the junior? 20,000?
no, the junior 2760.
Thousand?
No, $2,760.
That's what I thought. My brother got it at 600. So in the prospectus, it said we're looking for 9 owners, 10 million each, and the Riches, this is paraphrasing it, will not be one of those $10 million. But we will be the managing partner. We'll be like the George Steinbrenner, and we'll put in all the capital to run the team. Well, Warren sends it down to the publisher, who sends it down to Murray Light, who shows it to Don Esmond. Their translation, forget whether he's even getting in, and this was a confidential document. Their translation is, we're not even going to spend a dime, and we're looking for everyone else to get in. And that's how the whole negative thing started, that the Riches are using the community and never wanted Major League Baseball. That is so far from the truth. They spent over $5 million bucks of their own money going for this Major League franchise. When they crunched the numbers, Pete Marwick, when they crunched the numbers, it came back, and you all in industrial development would know this, or community development, the numbers it would cost. And I mean, we had money in. Warren wasn't one of them, but we had Bob Costas, we had Larry King, they were all part of one group that would have totaled up to $10 million. And we had others locally and out of the area that were going in. They crunched the numbers as we were in the final six. They came in, and this was just before the major league owners were coming in to look at your city. And we had Warren Giles, the owner of Philadelphia Phillies, Doubleday, or Fred Wilpon, the managing partner of the New York Mets, and Danforth, Doug Danforth, the chairman of the Pittsburgh Pirates, were the three-person expansion committee team. Just before they come in, Pete Marwick comes in and gives us a PowerPoint presentation that shows this was 90, and we would have started 80 something. We would have started in 90. They projected what Major League Baseball salary and operating cost would be our first year in. Then they extended it out to 5 years, which had been like 95, 96. Then they extended out to the year 2000. By the year 2000, back then I think the highest salary was maybe 70, 80 million bucks. By 2000, they showed salaries at the $170 million range. Well, it went beyond that, 180. We looked at, then they took that as your salary. They took what it would have cost us, along with the state, to expand the stadium to 40,000 seats. Then the capital dollars out of your pocket just to run the franchise day to day. They took those numbers there. Then they took over here what you would need in sponsorship dollars, season ticket dollars, and per game attendance. And Greg knows those numbers. At least we did when, I don't know if they share you the numbers now, but back when we ran this team, the numbers were obviously minute compared to that. But he knew what it cost us here, and that's how we developed our sponsorship packages, the season tickets, because you need that to survive operationally. Luckily, this franchise has the strength of Rich Products behind it, but they're not going to support a losing business, and that's what this is a business. It's an entertainment business that needs the community support. The bottom line of that is we would have had to sell 17,000 season tickets at Major League Baseball prices, which there's no discount. It's 82 games times whatever those tickets are. Plus we would have had to sell X number of suites, which have been probably close to 70, 80 suites. At that same time, the Sabres were looking at getting HSBC Arena built. That eventually led to the death of Seymour Knox because they had to sell 142 suites, and they were borrowing and stealing anyone's money. Ralph Wilson had us as taxpayers in the state, the county, basically bankroll him to keep that stadium there, of which Dennis Gorski, the former county executive, raves that he got him to sign a 20-year lease, or 20, I think. And I said, no, you have a guaranteed 5-year lease and then 15 one-year leases with the escape number getting lower and lower. So if that team ever goes in the tank win-loss-wise and people stay away from that, the city of Los Angeles can easily come in here any year now and buy it and just pay a fee. So back to the expansion, we saw those numbers. So the owners come in and we give them the nice tour. They like the stadium. They like the owners. They show the PowerPoint of where their money's going, what it's going to cost, where their salaries are going down the road. And Fred Wilpon had the greatest line. He said, Bob and Mindy, he said, that's a very good presentation. You're showing me our future, and I don't like it. And with that, he said they have no plans for revenue sharing, they have no plans for salary cap, and they have no plans for, he says, for any type of regionalism of your TV market where you make a lot of money. So they leave and we sit down and say, you know, we have a nice thing with AAA baseball here. There is no way, and then we had the industrial relations guys project out where Buffalo and Erie County and Western New York was going financially. We're not like Pittsburgh, which is a small market, but it still has huge companies. We're not like Cleveland that has huge financial companies that are supporting this team. There is no way the city of Buffalo or this region would have been able to support Major League Baseball, Major League Hockey, and Major League Football. So that's the Major League Baseball story of why Major League didn't come to Buffalo. But we're committed during our run for Major League franchise to have our own. Our ultimate goal was to create our own community in Florida for our expansion, our spring training site. There's a couple, if any of you have been down there, we took a helicopter ride to all of the sites on the East Coast or the West Coast. Then we did the same on the East Coast. Photos, the whole thing, went in, looked at them. We found that Kansas City, the family there, probably had the best one because that family, the Kaufman family, I don't know if any of you have been there, it was called, I don't know if it still is, it was called the Boardwalk in Baseball. And they had like entertainment here and then gorgeous stadium here and then a minor league complex. So as we're going through the stadium, that's when they had Bo Jackson as their as playing there. So we're walking through, and I remember my friend Greg, he loves autographs and all that, and I see Bo Jackson. His uniform's right there, his bat, his glove, batting gloves with Bo on it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm standing there, and Bob Rich says, don't you even think about it. So what we're going to do, we found a community down there that we met with their industrial agency, and what they're going to do is all woods, this, that, and the guy showed us the plans. We want to put our own community in here. And it was fabulous. I mean, they had the parks, they had school, they had recreation, entertainment, housing of high end to low end, and they loved us for putting a spring training facility in. We had that deal conditionally signed. We came back here and we said we want to buy our entire minor league system, unheard of, meaning we need a short season A club, we needed a double A club, we needed a triple A club. We sold our double A franchise to Wichita for $1 million. This is how it escalates. Bob Rich bought it for the debt of $100,000 in '83, and in '88 we were able to get $1 million for it. Plus, we bought their. They had an entity called the National Baseball Congress. It's a college-age type tournament in Wichita every August, and the Riches still own that. We're then looking at. We had a market to buy a double A team and a long season A. So we're going to own our own spring training facility, our own, and all the minor league teams, much like this. So we would put a GM here and run it, but we'd have all our players in our own facilities. It was a fabulous idea, and unfortunately, the game of baseball screwed us. Well, I can't say screwed us. Financially, it wasn't possible. Then our best pals, the guys from Toronto and the Yankees, all of a sudden when they saw we were interested, Toronto saw us, they get like 25%, back then 25% of their attendance came from Western New York. Our TV market, they put up a roadblock, you can't come here. George Steinbrenner knew then he was going to buy the Yes Network, and he's like, Bob and him went to Williams College, not the same years, and they're, Bob donates heavily because of George's strong arm. All of a sudden the Yankees said, well, you can't, all of a sudden we have this narrow market, and we had the Crook as the only TV outlet, Adelphia Cable, and they were going to give us, a few dollars as rights fees? So we saw that as a lack of dollars. So it was going to be a major commitment on the Riches without getting what these other teams got. So we go to this franchise, single A. We convince Niagara Falls to put a franchise in old Sal Magley Stadium. Or it was called Hyde Park Stadium, I think, Russ. Then we got it changed to Sal Magley Stadium because he lived there. So we put it in, we're operating, very well. Then minor league baseball, and we're on that committee. That was when we had a contract with Major League, and the Major Leagues were going to wipe out minor league baseball and own them themselves. in sort of this club type thing. So we'd lose we'd lose a lot of money that we paid. All of a sudden, the franchise we paid for is worth nothing. And at this point, franchises AAA were in the $5-6 million, $3-4 million range. So they said, well, all right, we'll compromise. You now have to meet these standards and bring these minor league facilities up to it. Luckily, back then, the New York Penn League had a guy, I don't know, what is he, governor yet? Remember the league president? He's a big attorney out of Utica. Heavy into the Republican Party down there. Well, we go to the state as part of the league, and we get them to commit dollars if the community will put in a few bucks on their own for renovations. So we go to Niagara Falls. Now this has to be in the end of the season, so it had to be August '93. And we meet with Jake Palillo. This guy has a cigar out to here, and he has his brother who's the fire commissioner or parks commissioner like Jimmy Griffin had. So we're waiting in his office, shirt and tie, for the mayor. Noon lunch or a 1 o'clock meeting. 1:40 he comes walking in like this. It's August. Big cigar, not lit, and he looks at his brother and he says, Gonzo, look, the suits are here. They think they're going to shake us down. The league president looks at me like, who is this guy? We get in there, he pushes his seat back, and we said, Mayor, you either come up with some money and match this state dollars. I think we needed like $4 or $5 million totally to renovate. We had the plans, we did it at our expense. And he looks at me, he says, Billoni, don't you ever threaten me again. He said, this guy is full of, you'll never move this team from Niagara Falls. We said, all right. So the league president says, all right, we got a meeting in a couple weeks. So we walk out, president looks at me and he says, you go back and you tell your mayor next time you see him that there's no effing way I'll ever have a team in here. I'll ban you guys from this league. I'm never going to be insulted like this. So we go to the league meeting and we tell Bob, look, they're going to vote us out. We got to find a place to play. So we heard somehow through the grapevine, Greg Peterson was at a lawyer luncheon or a lawyer whatever, and he talks to legal counsel of Rich Products and said, how's your New York Penn League team doing there? The Expos are moving our team to Watertown. We're going to be without a team after 150 years. So Giesel comes back and tells us, hey, if we ever want to move, we can go to Jamestown. We're like, well, we're at Niagara Falls. The minute they start giving us heat, we call Greg, and I think you arranged a meeting.
With the mayors, mayoral candidates. There were 3 of them.
That's right. He said, Jamestown is not like Niagara Falls. I'm going to have you meet with 3 mayoral candidates individually. Bring your checkbook. No, not yours, Mike. Bring the Rich's checkbook for the meeting. No, he didn't say that. We met with the current and the 2 others, and they committed to helping us. And I think we went to do we go to these guys now or later when we renovated?
Later.
But in any event, so we now have a quiet, we can come here. So we go to the league meeting somewhere in New York State, and they said, you can't be in Niagara Falls. And the guy from here said, we're moving Jamestown to Watertown. So I'm on the phone with the Riches, and I said, look, we can pull off a coup here. We can leave Niagara Falls without them even knowing it. We can get voted on right away to go to Jamestown, and we can give them a franchise without missing a beat, and we can be in Watertown, and everyone's happy, except Niagara Falls, and they told us not to be there. And so we're on the phone with Greg at 11 at night, and this and that, and in a backroom deal, we came to Jamestown. I came back home the next day and took the ride up here like, where are we going? And I'm like on Route 60 going, we almost there? So we get here and he introduces me. We had a luncheon with Russ. I knew Russ from his, long distinguished history of Babe Ruth and professional and amateur baseball in Jamestown. and it has been a tremendous franchise for us. I can tell you this, and because I'm not working for the team, what can they do? Fire me? Take away a ticket? I can tell you that I know a prominent name in baseball who already owns a minor league team wanted to buy this franchise and offered the Riches a better deal than the 100 to $1 million, a better percentage for this franchise. And he told John Dandies, tell him we're not interested. We're staying in Jamestown. Now, is Mrs. Johnson here? Audrey Johnson. Y'all know Audrey Johnson? Audrey and her late husband, dear friend of mine, she's the reason this franchise will never move. Everyone know that?
No, tell me.
Her daughter Corinne married Bob Rich III.
Dad and Manley, that's tomorrow.
They have 2 children, and they're totally in love. They'll be married forever. So you always have a team here. There you go. That's the story behind the story. I have with us, because Greg is a nostalgia guy, I'm finishing up a degree at the Empire State College. I only had an associate's in journalism. I took a full-time job, and much to the chagrin of my parents, I never completed a bachelor's. So now they're both passed away, so in their honor, I'm going to get the franchise. So I have a Jamestown Jammer book from the very first year. I have our sales brochure from way back in 1996. Another book that has, Greg, who's this guy?
Bruce Fields. He's
Bruce
from Detroit.
Fields. And now, trout fishing. Who fishes trout? I know, but we have a trout. Debbie's a fisher person. Can you show us where we can get trout over here? Now, I have this. Greg collects everything, correct? All the presidents. For the Food Bank of Western New York, we have our annual fundraiser. Deb, excuse me, please. I'm on the...
We're talking fishing.
Oh, good. She makes her own flies. She drives boats. She does it all.
She was telling me that before you interrupted.
She loves knives. She's a hunter with bow and shotgun. And she knows how to use knives and cleans everything, of which muzzle lows, muzzle tough, whatever. Of which a friend of mine said she likes those knives. Mike, don't ever let her walk behind you. So we have our annual Jamestown or Food Bank of Western New York major fundraiser. It's a dinner/auction. We take donations, of which I'll talk to you about. Places in Jamestown have been very generous to us. And so, Greg, I need some auction items because he's Mr. Everything. But I have here the City of Jamestown, New York Sports Facility Assistance Program, the New York State Urban Development Corporation from 1994, a letter to Marion Summer of the Sports Facility Program from Richard Kimball. Please find 3 applications for the Sports Facility Program. Applications concern the renovation of College Stadium, blah, blah, blah. And it has in here what they're looking for, the whole detail, the backup from Hybertia, the architects, $435,000 to build it. This is probably private information that no one should have, but I had it in my file. And what should we start the bidding at? If this is of importance, if anyone wants this. It's inside information of how a community goes after state dollars. I'll leave it here if anyone, Greg will handle the bidding, and we'll do that. Western New York, the Food Bank of Western New York. Deb, can you pass these around, please? I'll just quickly leave you with this. I had my own business, Billoni Associates, where I did freelance writing, marketing. It was great. I could just stay in my pajamas all day and be on the phone like I'm, a well-dressed businessman, be on the computer, never leave the house for a week. During that time, I wrote the biography on Rich Products and Bob Rich Sr., wrote it, published it, did all the managed the publication of it. I then handled the publicity for the pro boxer Baby Joe Macy. I lasted there until his father got rid of probably one of the greatest pro athletes ever, Sugar Ray Leonard. And then I did a bunch of others. I said I would go to a full-time job if I could find a place to utilize all my talents and give back to the community. I found that with the Food Bank of Western New York, and I started 2 weeks ago. Does anyone out here know what the Food Bank of Western New York is? Okay. Don't speak all at once now. You know. Anyone know? All right, I'll tell you what they do. It's a not-for-profit organization that provides 13,565 pounds in 2005. We'll go over it this year. No, 4. We'll go over it this year. That's annual poundage of food, vegetables, fruits, beverages, meats, to pantries, soup kitchens, camps, and snacks for schools in 4 counties: Erie, Niagara, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus. Do you know how many agencies in the Jamestown area receive assistance from the Food Bank of Western New York?
20.
No, 14. How about Dunkirk? 10. That's 24 out of 39 for this county. In Jamestown, St. Susan Center Dining Room. Anyone know where that is?
Sure.
It's a soup kitchen. The Union Gospel Mission Dining Room.
Yep.
Soup kitchen. We sell them at 14 cents a pound of food. Or if they're part of a state or federal funding, they get free food. Adult Center. The Resource Center, Windows and Doors. The Jamestown Head Start and Connections. It's a child care center. And the Salvation Army in Jamestown. We provide food to the food pantry. The way you get food in the food pantry is you have to reach every agency that we serve has to complete a application. They have to have a 501c3, and they have to distribute to, the worthy. People that go to food banks or soup kitchen can be anyone. Pantries, you have to meet a financial criteria. We have found in Erie County there's a new group of people that are swallowing their pride. Husband and wife that was laid off by the county. Layoffs at General Motors have been so long they haven't found a job. They now are on, unemployment is run out. So they only have this much money. Food pantry will give you enough food to last you a week. It's a supplement to your stuff. They're not going to give you everything. They're swallowing their pride going just to feed the family and an ability to stretch their dollars. What we do here is once or twice a week, these agencies here, we have online, on phone, in the mail, the menu of all the food we have. And they'll order 10 cases of cereal from General Mills or Kellogg's, 5 pounds of beef, whatever we have in. Our semi-tractor trailers, of which we have 5, distribute them to the Chautauqua Rural Ministries on Central Ave in Dunkirk. And these agencies drive over there and pick them up. How do we get our money? There's state funding that comes in, there's some federal dollars, but mostly it's fundraising and donation of food. Donation of food is usually around holidays, everyone's coming in, but the hunger is year round. So in the summer, we have what they call a summer harvest that's going on now, where people that get our newsletter, and I'd be happy to send some out here and make copies, they'll send in donations. Right here is one of the donations that came in, and it has a check, and it has the amount, $1, and in parentheses, unemployed. I called her up, and she said, I've given to this in the past, but I just lost my job, and you guys do so well that I want to make sure I can help you. Some of the foundations here that have helped us has been, or agencies for food. Kraft Food is in Jamestown. We last heard from them in 2002. Are they still around?
They're up in Dunkirk.
You can hook me up with them. A fellow named Dennis Morgan. Who knows that they're gone?
They're gone.
Dennis retired, I think.
Okay. Maybe you can give me his phone number. Quality Markets, Fred Poletrio.
He's with Pepsi now.
Is he? You can give me his number too. That's 2 numbers back there. Deb, keep track of the numbers. The Cliff Star Corporation. Mark Schroeder. S-C-H. Pardon me?
He's an assemblyman, Mark Schroeder.
Is it? It has here S-C-H-W-E-D-E-R. We spell it wrong. Deb, let's get that in. Is Cliff Star Corporation in Dunkirk still here? All right, they give a lot of juice. A lot of juice products they give. They wanted me to thank them. So, Greg, if you can give me, we'll get the contact from the assemblyman. The Chautauqua Region Community Foundation. Is Randy Sweeney still the director of that?
Yes.
We want to thank them very much. We have our Thanksgiving harvest dinner/auction, which is going to be October 14th. They have given us donations, very substantial, over the past 3 years. We want to thank them, and I will thank these people. And then the Gebby Foundation. Tom Cardman.
John Marino.
All right, Deb, we got to get that from. We haven't heard from them in since the year 2000. However, they gave us for our capital campaign $20,000 in 2000, $20,000 in 1999, because we have a huge warehouse facility, freezer and cooler, and a food express truck in Buffalo at our facility. That's it. From the food bank end, we can use any of your assistance. We can come down here. We'll bring our trucks. We do we'll do food drives here at the ballpark, anywhere in the community. I can work that out with any of you. I have cards with me. In February, March, the quality markets here, Tops, Wegmans, holds what they call Checkout Hunger. We raised, I think, $148,000 or Checkout Hunger last year. It's from late February, a 5-week program, and you go into the supermarkets, at your checkout is $1.49. They add it to your bill. That $1.49 goes to the food bank, and it was $1.49 because that could feed a person for a week, or a family. I don't know what the correlation, but last year the Food Bank of West New York raised $519,000, which was the tops nationally. Our newsletter carrier food drive, did they have that out here? It's a national day, one day where the carriers go around and collect food or donations. Carriers of Western New York, in the first day of May, we collected here 1.9 million pounds of food that we have in 2 tractor trailers at our warehouse that we're now putting in bags and boxes that will be delivered to food pantries. They collected 46 million pounds of food nationally. We led the nation in what our postman got here. So once again, Western New York has proven that when you're in need, they're there. And the reason I'm here is, and when the food bank called me, I immediately jumped at it because, and I won't, I guess you could talk, church and state. I don't think that belongs in baseball. But there's a chapter verse from Matthew that reads, I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I'm hungry and my drink is almost done, so I can fit into that. But more importantly, that line from the Bible motivates me now to help the food bank. So I think, Greg, it's safe to say that all the enthusiasm I put into Bison baseball and Rich baseball operations, I'm going to put in to really help those that need it. And it isn't really the needy and those the homeless. It's your neighbor. unfortunately. So we're there to help. We're helping Chautauqua County all we can. We need your help. I'll send Greg some information about our fundraiser dinner. Feel free to come up to Buffalo. I could even get some cheap hotel rooms at Salvatore's place up there. It's a great place if you've never been there. You could take a tour to Niagara Falls and none of you even know what it is or where it is. And you could support us. The dinner's an auction. Greg's going to donate us all the extra presidential autographs that he has. Thank you very much. Any questions? Look at that. We're ready. Are they going to start on time?
They're going to start on time.
Coach, we starting on time? What time we starting? 1:05? I guess. So we have a few more minutes. Anyone have any questions?
Mike, what's your highlight?
My highlight, I have two highlights. Number one, in 1983, we went to the winter meetings, and I'm a promoter, marketer. I didn't know that much about
You
baseball.
may not have recognized that at any point here.
We ran a party in 1988 at the winter meetings, the baseball convention. It cost us a fortune. We had chicken wings shipped down from the Anchor Bar, beef on weck. We invited all the baseball bigwigs, and many of them showed up. So here's this black guy who's, an athlete, and so I walk up to him and I said, "Henry Aaron, it's great to see you." Mike, that's Frank Robinson. My second favorite is the only other team to draw 1 million fans were the Louisville Cardinals under the legendary A. Ray Smith. He was P.T. Barnum Jr. He was them all. I wanted to be A. Ray Smith, which he said I was years and years later. He runs, and we got to sit down, Greg, because this is the most phenomenal fundraiser I've ever seen. Their stadium in Louisville, before they built it's on the University of Louisville college campus, the state of Louisville or Kentucky fairgrounds. You got it all right there. He does a fundraiser with, was it Bo Schemblecker who had, no, the guy from Florida coached Louisville football. I think it was Bo. Schnellenberg or whomever. They had a big name coach. He had his recruiting weekend, the weekend that A-Ray had his big fundraiser. Well, A-Ray in the early days had all these major league guys go through his team. Mickey Mantle from Oklahoma, where A-Ray was from. Billy Martin, the guy Musial, was right from St. Louis, the parent club of Louisville. They're all there because Mickey and Billy, A-Ray gave them money when they were down and out. So anything A-Ray wants, they're there. So I go represent the Riches. I walk into this cocktail party before the whole thing begins, and there's Mickey Mantle, Billy Martin, Stan Musial. So now we go off to then we go off to a reception with the players. Now we're at the dinner, and it's a fabulous sports night. They had everyone there. It was a college or high school or whatever. They have everyone in the audience eating hot dogs and stuff, but they had asked them, put your questions, here's who's coming. So we walk in 3 tiers of seats, and I sit right next to Mickey, so we don't even have to sit there for dinner. We come in and immediately the MC, here they are, all right, Mickey Mantle, here's a question. And they ask no autographs. We're done, we leave. And these people, wow, that was fun, no autographs. So I'm sitting next to Mickey, and everyone's drinking soda out there, but because we're the VIPs, we could get booze. So he calls this waitress over, and she's just a little kid. And she said, what's your name? Susie. Susie, I want you to stand right there. Anytime, I don't want this glass going lower than that with vodka. Anytime you see it at the halfway mark, bring me a new glass, take this back, and refill it. She's like, he reaches in his pocket, pulls out a $100 bill, says, will this be sufficient tip? That glass never went below that. The whole night he's drinking. So now we go back to the cocktail party. 2 kids sneak in, and they're sitting right near the door. Mickey and Billy now are totally gone. They're telling war stories. All of a sudden, tastes great. Let's fill it. Tastes great. Let's fill it. Louder. Billy says, and Mickey, Billy, Billy starts going over these guys. What the, with all kinds of profanity. Who do you think we had 3 people holding him back. He was going to punch the kid out for just doing this. We finally get rid of the guy, settle Billy down. Now it's over. I mean, it's like 4 in the morning. These guys are still drinking. I'm now have Mickey and Billy on either side of me, dragging them down the hall to their hotel room, to their room. And he's yelling, Mickey, I told you I should have hit him. Why'd you stop me? Mickey, I could have killed him. I'm like, Billy, is this your room? Yeah. Open it up, threw him in. Mickey, and I'm a Mickey Mantle fan. Here, Mickey, let me put you in the bed. Here, take your shirt off. Good night, Mickey. So that's my 2 favorite stories.
That's true.
Any questions?
The game's going to start for those, and I know he's hungry, and so am I. So we're going to eat. But I want to thank Mike for making a special effort down here, sharing these stories. Incredible stuff. And this is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. And next time, I want to tell you just a quick vignette. When John and John Dandies heard that you were coming down, he said, Greg, do you remember this? Do you remember that? I used to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we went on for about a half an hour talking stories about you. And I said, you know what we should do? Invite Michael Billoni down, have him sit here, and then have John and I just kind of go back and forth while you don't get access to the mic. That would be the ultimate show.
Hold on.
Wouldn't that be a good one?
All right. Well, we have women here, so we can't. I need money from you guys, Greg. I need money, or else I'm going to go to, what's the agency where there's prejudices and all that? Women's group. What women's group if someone prejudices you and all this? I want to, what's the name of the place?
What, I'm going to give you the information?
I'll find it. There's a place, it's way out in the woods. I thought it was like in other states it's called a KKK whatever. Here, Greg says, we're taking you to this club. Great dinner, sportsman's club. See, I found the name. I'll find this place. We go in and it's an unbelievable steak dinner. We're looking around, I said, Greg, I got to bring Bob and Mindy here. Mike, women are not allowed. Yeah, but it's Mindy, Mike. I don't care if it's Hillary Clinton. Women are not allowed. It still can't be that way in 2005, is it?
Absolutely it is.
Okay.
He's lying. I've been there.
There you go. The next favorite place here, when does the corn syrup or maple syrup come out of the trees?
Oh, Barney's. Barney's the pancake place. That's Sherman.
Why don't you ever invite me to that again?
Yeah.
That was the most phenomenal
We don't have time for that story.
I set the record for most pancake consumptions in one night. But we'll do what you talked about as a fundraiser for the food bank. We'll do it at the Holiday Inn or someplace that we can show a movie. And I will dig out the video Greg has, and it's entitled Mike Billoni Goes to Washington.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.